Hey there, divine comedy lovers. Welcome back to our channel where we're about to embark on a wild ride through history, theology, and modern life. I'm your host, Chuckles Chaplin, and today, we're diving deep into Genesis chapter 15. Yeah, that's right, the Og Covenant negotiation. Buckle up, cause we're gonna connect those ancient dots to our everyday, sometimes bonkers lives. Let's roll. Listen to the reading of Genesis chapter 15, New International Version for reference.
After this, the word of the Lord came to Abram in a vision. Do not be afraid, Abram. I am your shield, your very great reward. But Abram said, Sovereign Lord, what can you give me since I remain childless and the one who will inherit my estate is Eliezer of Damascus? And Abram said, You have given me no children, so a servant in my household will be my heir. Then the word of the Lord came to him. This man will not be your heir, but a son who is your own flesh and blood will be your heir. He took him outside and said, Look up at the sky and count the stars, if indeed you can count them. Then he said to him, So shall your offspring be. Abram believed the Lord, and he credited it to him as righteousness. He also said to him, I am the Lord, who brought you out of Ur of the Chaldeans to give you this land to take possession of it. But Abram said, Sovereign Lord, how can I know that I will gain possession of it? So the Lord said to him, Bring me a heifer, a goat and a ram, each 3 years old, along with a dove and a young pigeon. Abram brought all these to him, cut them in two and arranged the halves opposite each other. The birds, however, he did not cut in half. Then birds of prey came down on the carcasses, but Abram drove them away. As the sun was setting, Abram fell into a deep sleep, and a thick and dreadful darkness came over him. Then the Lord said to him, Know for certain that for 400 years your descendants will be strangers in a country not their own and that they will be enslaved and mistreated there. But I will punish the nation they serve as slaves, and afterward they will come out with great possessions. You, however, will go to your ancestors in peace and be buried at a good old age. In the 4th generation your descendants will come back here, for the sin of the Amorites has not yet reached its full measure. When the sun had set and darkness had fallen, a smoking firepot with a blazing torch appeared and passed between the pieces. 18 On that day the Lord made a covenant with Abram and said, To your descendants I give this land, from the Wadi of Egypt to the great river, the Euphrates, the land of the Kenites, Kenizzites, Kadmonites, Hittites, Perizzites, Rephates, 21 Amorites, Canaanites, Girgashites and Jebusites. This concludes the reading.
The chapter begins with God having a little heart-to-heart with Abram. And let's face it, whenever God starts a conversation with, Do not be afraid, Abram, you know something is about to go down. It's like getting a call from your boss that starts with, We need to talk. God's first attempt at humor is the classic, Do not be afraid, line. Imagine God as the ultimate stand-up comedian, and Abram as the nervous audience member. Do not be afraid, Abram. I am your shield. I can almost hear God pausing for applause. But seriously, what would Abram be afraid of? He's talking to God himself. Maybe Abram was just having an existential crisis, wondering if he left the oven on in his tent. God then takes Abram outside and tells him to count the stars. Now, this is where it gets interesting. Imagine Abram, trying to count the stars, getting lost in the vastness of the universe. God might have whispered, Abram, don't worry. This isn't a math test. But Abram's like, okay, but should I start with the Big Dipper or the Little Dipper? Then God tells Abram to count the grains of sand on the seashore. I can picture Abram walking to the nearest beach and starting to count, only to realize that this task is even more absurd than counting stars. He probably called up Sarah like, Honey, pack your bags. We're going to need a lot of sunscreen. The story takes an unexpected turn when God instructs Abram to sacrifice some animals and create a rather gruesome path with their carcasses. Comedy writers call this the unexpected twist. Abram is probably standing there, thinking, I thought we were just having a chat. But God's like, Nope, we're signing a divine contract today, and it involves animal dismemberment. In a surreal moment, a smoking firepot and a flaming torch pass between the animal pieces. It's like God's own version of a fireworks show. Maybe God was showing off, saying, Hey, Look at this cool trick I can do." Meanwhile, Abram is on the sidelines, bewildered, thinking, "I didn't sign up for this at the comedy club." The chapter ends with God promising Abram the land of Canaan for his descendants, but then there's a cliffhanger. God tells Abram that his descendants will be enslaved for 400 years. Talk about a plot twist. Abram must have been scratching his head, wondering if he should reconsider this whole chosen people thing. In conclusion, while Genesis chapter 15 may not be a laugh-out-loud comedy, there are certainly moments of absurdity and unexpected twists that could be mined for modern humor. It's a reminder that even in the most sacred texts, there's room for a little divine comedy. Thanks for joining me on this hilarious theological adventure. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and stay tuned for more divine comedy explorations.